It says I'll be live soon.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Debra's talk today. She is going to be speaking on how do we know they can apply anything, assessing digital marketing competency. Just to introduce Debra a little bit. So Debra Zahay Blatz has her PhD. She's a full-time professor of marketing and director of Master of Science in the Digital Marketing and Analytics at St. Edward's University in Austin, Texas. She holds her PhD from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, her MBA from Northwestern University, her GD from Loyola University, and her AB from Washington University. Debra has been teaching digital marketing for over 20 years and has developed 4 undergraduates and 2 undergrad programs in this area. She has published extensively and presented her work at many academic and practitioner conferences. So we are going to listen to Debra, but first thing I do want to mention that you'll see the chat box over on the far right-hand side of your screen. Looks like lots of you are already starting to chat in. So please use that chat box because the most active person in the chat will receive a $5 gift certificate today, and we will announce that winner at the end of Debra's talk. So without further ado, we'll have Debra start her talk.
Well, thank you very much, Bailey, and thank you everybody who's coming in. I really appreciate your attending. I first want to thank Stu Kent for putting this on. It's really terrific. We can still get together in the midst of everything that's going on. And I am coming in. I see we have people from Austin and Wisconsin. I'm coming here from Austin, Texas at St. Edward's University. And I see some people from Austin as well. So thank you again to Stu Kent for putting this together and for all of you for attending my talk. So the title is, How Do We Know They Can Apply Anything? Or Assessing Digital Marketing Competency. And today I want to talk to you a little bit more about my background, just going to set the stage as to how I got involved in teaching digital marketing, an overview of some of the assessment techniques and some of the motivation for this talk. And then how we can maybe use course objectives and application-based assessment in assessing digital marketing competencies. And then we'll have summary. I hope to speed through a little bit so we can have time for Q&A. So let's get started. A little bit more about me. I always like to mention that I've been teaching digital marketing for over 20 years. And how is this even possible that I could be doing this? The reason is when I was a graduate student in 1999, I was asked to be a TA for the e-commerce marketing class because of my background in direct and database marketing and industry. So that 1999, 2019, 20 years, over 20 years of experience. And I keep doing the same thing, but they keep changing the title of what I do. So first it was e-commerce marketing, then internet, then interactive, then digital marketing, but I keep doing the same thing, seeing how we can use technology to facilitate customer relationships. And I've written a couple of books on teaching internet and social media marketing. And also my research is highly tied into this field. So my primary area of research is customer information management, how we can use customer information management to improve company performance, and then how that can be used in the new product development area. And so that is how I sort of parlayed myself into teaching internet marketing, because when I was coming out of PhD school, I said that data really drives the internet, which I believe turned out to be true. I also do some research in marketing pedagogy. I think it's really great that we teach all these new techniques in digital marketing, and I know many of you also do the same thing. You write up what you're doing and hope to help others teach digital marketing. So that said, I have, in these 20 years, I have hundreds of students that are working in digital marketing fields. I have students that are working in search and social and email marketing and content marketing, website design, and testing, all different areas. And some of them are real specialists. Some of them are working as generalists, and I've seen them rise through the ranks through the years, and it's been very gratifying. This is a picture from Happier Days. There's an organization called Marketing Edge that typically sponsors in New York a seminar where students can network with high-level companies. And I got a chance to attend it a couple of years ago. And for me, you know, there's a lot of talk about social justice now, which is a wonderfully important topic. And I work at a private Catholic university, and we're very much mission focused on social justice. And to me, there's no better way to achieve social justice than to work with people from all backgrounds and make sure that they have the skills and abilities to be productive members of society and then give back. And I just want to shout out to Stuart for that wonderful video they showed on the first day of Student working in Africa and helping people start businesses. So I think that teaching digital marketing helps give students those skills and that little bit of step up to become productive members of society. So I really want to commend you all for being here and for doing this and for taking that extra step. And if there's one thing I've learned from all these Zoom calls is that you have to do some kind of grounding exercise. So I'm going to applaud you all. And if you want to put your hands together, I can't see all of you, but if you want to put your hands together and applaud yourselves, that'll kind of give us a little bit of energy for the talk. You may be getting Zoom fatigue or online talk fatigue here on the morning of the third day. So that's kind of a little bit about my background. I now want to move into the main part of the talk, which is assessment techniques for digital marketing education. So how do we really figure out how if students are actually learning digital marketing? There has been a lot of progress made in teaching digital marketing. Way back when in 2010, I actually wrote and co-authored an article on identifying fundamental competencies for direct marketing. And if you look at this list, at that time, direct marketing was really segueing or transitioning into internet or digital marketing because some of the competencies were email and web design, as well as traditional lists and testing. And there was an increase in metrics, and particularly in segmentation, that were considered fundamental competencies. We tested the students before and after the basic internet class to see if we were indeed successful in improving their knowledge of these topic areas. However, it's not just skills, it's the digital market in terms of specific competencies. There's also a general overview that is needed for the digital marketer in terms of strategy and being able to understand and evaluate opportunities. And at the same time, although we are seeing an increasing use of just really practical skills for assessment and to increase job placement success. So let's talk about some of these tools. I'm sure many of you use them. Simulations. We love the simulations in our program. We use them both undergraduate and graduate, particularly the Mimic Pro simulation. I was interested on the first day. I believe that they said it had piloted. The first one had piloted in 2014. I was thinking it was 2013, 2014, so was there from the beginning. It's a wonderful way to give students some practical experience, and we can assess them how well they do by how well they do in the simulation. But what I do, I also have them write a reflection paper, and I primarily assess how well they did in the simulation by how well they do. Not only by how well they do, but how much they learned. So I asked them to say, what did you learn? And even if somebody who didn't do very well in the simulation, if they learned a lot, they can do well in this particular assignment. So the other thing that we do extensively in both our undergraduate and graduate program, because our undergrad program is heavily focused on digital marketing as well, is we make use of the certifications. You know, but certifications are great, but I sort of think a certification is like a driver's license. You know, when I got my driver's license, I couldn't drive. It was like a license to get out there and practice on humankind and see how well I could do. And the certification is similar to that. You may be able to regurgitate things, but can you really apply the concepts? So to apply the concepts, we often use in-class projects where they might work on assessing a company or write their own blog, which I'll talk about. Or we might actually do a client project, which we typically do the Google Ads challenge. So some kind of client projects. We also, in our marketing research class, do how they work with an actual live client. So we have a couple of different ways to assess how well they're doing by how well they can apply concepts in a project situation. And then we have examinations. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how we can actually use an examination to see if they can apply things, if we can make an examination a little bit different. And I'm going to, at this point, I'm seeing a lot of really good chat, so I want to make sure I'm not listening that. Yep, many people do a mimic recap, and they do certifications that they need to apply it. So yeah, that's really, thank you, Sharman. That's really the gist of this talk today. How can we make sure that people are applying things? Because in all this rush to get the HubSpot and Hootsuite and ads and AdWords, ads and analytics certifications, basic strategic concepts can be kind of lost in the shuffle, as well as communication skills. I'm working on a paper right now about what employers are looking for people that they hire in the entry-level positions, and many of those skills are more critical thinking and communication skills. So we need to think about how to get that into the digital marketing classroom. So here's a story that got me thinking. It's kind of the motivation for this talk. This is actually a new talk. I teach workshops all over the country at academic conferences on how to teach digital marketing, but I've never actually given this talk before. And the motivation when I was thinking about how I could contribute to this conference is I started kind of looking at some feedback I gotten from students, and I came across this student email. And this person said they'd taken my internet marketing class, and they'd been working as an intern, and they were struggling with putting theory into practice. So much to consider. They were working on Google Ads and ad groups and didn't know how to put everything together. So I responded. I asked the student to go back and read some of the material and go back to thinking strategically. What are you really trying to accomplish? How are your customers really searching for your product? How do you create value? It's never a mistake to say value creation in my class, potentially, because that's really where everything goes back to, that kind of strategic thinking. How are we creating value? And this student in particular had not had the full benefit of our redesigned undergraduate program. We got it approved in early 2016, and 2016, 17, and even into 18, we were developing the classes and making them have a digital emphasis and putting the whole program together. So she had the one class, but didn't really get a chance to apply things. Because how we ended up putting it together, this started with a certification, and then they do an in-class project and a simulation, and then they move on to client projects. So we have the luxury of having a program that doesn't just have one course in digital marketing like many of you do. I learned that on Monday from Stuart. But we have a series of classes that have digital marketing in them, and almost all of our classes have some aspect of digital marketing and or analytics in them. So she didn't have the benefit of that sequence, but it started making me think about how I could even improve that undergraduate class to help her and others like her when they graduated. So my suggestion is to kind of think about Meg, no, we do not. That's a good question. So no, we don't do that all in one semester. It's in a series of courses. So basically they're doing the certification, and they'll do this in-class blogging project I talk about in the digital marketing analytics class. And then we actually revamped advanced marketing management, which was a kind of a case-based, I thought it was a little boring class, and we made it an application class. So then they do the simulation in the first 7 weeks or 8 weeks, and then in the second half of class, they work on a client project. And they either work with a real life client, we've done it that way, or they do the Google Ads challenge. So one of those two. So I hope that answers the question. Great. So I will talk about that blogging project in more detail because it is a really great way for students to get some experience without having to actually work with the client. We love client projects, but they have their challenges as well. And when they get that blog, they can also have something that they can use on the job market and after. So let's talk about how we need to think about, I think, or I would like you to consider thinking about your course objectives and try to get to more application-based assessment. So I'm going to talk about our basic digital marketing and analytics class. This is based on my textbook, Zahay and Roberts, on internet marketing. It could be based on the Stukan text or another digital marketing textbook. I'm just going to talk about what we do. We do actually use the Digital Marketing Essentials textbook in our programs, but we do that in the graduate program. So they need something to have undergraduate, so they're not using the same text in both. So this is a basic survey course. So it's one of the differences in this text is that it has a little bit more emphasis on strategy and the direct marketing routes of direct response routes of the internet. But we cover paid search and social, website design, demand gen, organic search, email marketing, demand gen, B2B. We cover a variety of topics in this class, and I'm sure you have something similar. And I started moving to an application-based course objective structure. Several years ago, I did a consulting project with Debra and created a digital marketing class for them, and I got the idea for this from them. So they do most of their course objectives this way. They want to make sure people learn things but can apply them. So it's going back to getting that certification, and it's kind of like a driver's license, but can you drive? So in one objective here, which I'll talk about later when I talk about the assessment examination, is to be able to understand how a company creates value. That was the question that I went back and asked my student who said that she was having trouble figuring out how to apply the theory to practice. The second one is that we do talk about email marketing, and there are different goals for that, and how can we evaluate an email marketing program or an A/B testing program. This next one is, given a particular search engine results page or SERP, can you really evaluate that company's presence? Can you make recommendations then as to how they might improve their organic and paid search to be found more frequently in a higher spot in organic, and to have their ads served more frequently? And this last objective I'm going to use right away and talk about this blogging assignment. But can you evaluate website traffic and conversion rates and make recommendations for improvement? And so how we do that, a blog is basically a website. So we have the students actually create a blog, and then they go back with Google Analytics and Blogger Analytics, and as they're posting throughout the semester, they make recommendations as to how they could improve their own blog to improve the different metrics based on the goals they've set. So here's my first example of an application assessment, which is applying Google Analytics with Blogger. Now I'm going to really briefly go through these. I have uploaded these technical details. You can go back and look. I have uploaded, based on Scott's suggestion, I uploaded the slide deck to SlideShare, so you can go and grab these and see what I've done. And if you have any questions, please, I'm happy to talk to you individually. But you basically go in Analytics and create a new web property after you've gone into Blogger and created that property, and go to the Get Tracking ID, Tracking Info, and you're going to see this code snippet here. Now, if you're using WordPress for blogging, which we do actually on the graduate level, you just copy and paste this into your WordPress blog. But if you're not, for the undergraduates, I don't get into that much technical detail. Although I can still code HTML, I prefer to just copy and paste this tracking ID into Google Analytics. You put it in settings under other, and there it is. And then you can just copy and paste that. And in about 24 hours, you start seeing, you can start to track that blog in Google Analytics, just like you might track, an ad campaign or another type of website. So here's your analytics. There's my blog. You can see I've got a high bounce rate because it's a blog and people don't spend that much time on it. But that is something that we talk about. And we also look at other things like, who's the audience. And they have assignments that change over time. So they get to see what happens when they do a long form blog post. Do people spend more time? Do people spend more time when there are videos and photos on the blog? And do people spend more time for different topics? How does the audience change over time? Given the fact that you have a particular audience, how should you promote that blog? So they promote it over their social media accounts. So the topic is usually something more personal. I've tried having them blog about technical concepts, but that doesn't work as well as having them blog about something they're personally passionate about, and then they can actually promote that on their own social media accounts. So we've had some students get really strong followings for their blogs, by following particular television shows. I had one student when American Horror Story was very popular, have a really popular blog that was well followed on American Horror Story. So given that's your target audience for your blog, how should you promote it? And which forms of social media or other means are best to promote it. And then the great thing is that you can also check the analytics of the blog and Blogger. This is for my own blog, Zahay Teaches Digital Marketing. And you can see my latest post was on 3 ways not to disconnect from teaching digital over the summer. So I talked about all the different conferences that we as educators can attend, including this one. And that was, so that you can see there was a spike right after it was posted. And then as I promoted, you can see different on different medium, you can also see other spikes. I started blogging like crazy during when the COVID pandemic first hit and we were all in lockdown. I was running a group for people who needed to teach digital marketing fast. And so we had a conference call every Tuesday morning, and I would ask them, what do you need? I basically crowdsourced my blog, and here's the spike. This is the most popular post, which was on certifications, that's free certification students can do now, because many of them were losing their jobs or at home and just wanted to upgrade their skills. So that is one of the most popular ones, and I've done. And the other one is on marketing, teaching marketing certifications in general, because many people are getting into that. Any questions so far? I'm looking at chat. It looks like we are good to go here. So what I think the blog assignment does is it assesses skills and critical thinking. It gives you a little bit more chance to show that strategic orientation. Because not only do you create a series of blog posts and promote them, you also have to create goals for your blog. Are you going to try to increase the number of people that subscribe? Are you trying to increase the number of page views, decrease the bounce rate, increase the time people spend on the blog? So you have to kind of think about what your goals are and discuss the impact weekly of the changes to that blog and the methods of promotion, again, with a reflection assignment. And they really support their ideas. They have to show that they're actually looking at Google Analytics and Blogger Analytics in this. Scott, yeah. At the end of the semester, most students aren't likely to continue their writing, and no businesses use it. Yeah, I understand the issue about Blogger. In fact, we actually use WordPress in our graduate program. But students also have the option. They do not have to use Blogger. They can use some other blog they can use WordPress or something else. I have had several students, those that really enjoy the blogging, get into it and show the blog to their employer, and it's helped them to get jobs. And maybe they won't do this after class, but I think they might continue some kind of social presence. I think video is becoming very prevalent now. Those short video clips. Maybe they'll do something like that, or just keep trying to develop their personal brand, which we also teach in the social media class. But that's a good question, a good comment. So the next example that I'd like to give is this of how do we know that they can apply anything, is an application-based examination. So remember that goal, application-based course objective, that you have to look at or examine an organization's ability to use online and offline strategies to promote their product or service and create value. So we exactly asked that question in the class and asked them to look at, we use HubSpot. They get HubSpot certified in this class, as well as Google Ads certified. So take from the text or the HubSpot materials and look at an organization and their ability to use both online and offline strategies, and see how they create value, and can you make any suggestions for future improvement? Are there other things that should be doing? And in this case, I would probably give this question in advance, although they typically have enough time in a 2-hour exam period to do it. But again, not just answering questions about, or quiz questions, because they're doing that. I know in our book, in MindTap, they're coming well prepared to class. They're answering quizzes, and I know they do that in the StuKent text as well. So they're coming in, they're with a basic understanding. What I try to do in the classroom is go through examples and see if they can apply that. Where am I? Oh, went too far. The next objective, remember we talked about being able to evaluate an email marketing campaign and A/B testing as an objective. So in the examination, we give them an example. In this case, it was an email that had a bottom icon or not. Asking which one was more successful, and then why. And there have been a couple of different companies that do these kind of A/B testing examples. The one that I like right now is Guess the Test. So here's an example from a few weeks ago that you can see a little more clearly than that other one. So on the left-hand side, A is just an annual subscription, and B is an annual or monthly subscription. So I'm just going to ask for people to put in the chat. Which one do you think? Do you think the conversion rate was higher on A or B? And why? Are we still out there? There's 39 of you. Somebody must have a clue. So the idea is that on the left-hand side, it just says annual subscription. There's different rates. And on the right-hand side, you can choose either an annual or monthly subscription. B? Okay, Chad, great. Why? I know you haven't been in my class and you weren't expecting a quiz today. Gives the user more options. Okay. Yeah. So what I'd be looking for in the context of the class, because they have to apply material from the class, I'd be looking at maybe to say something, say, I choose B because we've been studying Scott thinks A is because it's simpler. Yeah. Okay. That's good. So that actually, I think that argument can be made for both. So you can say A because it's simpler, because in class we talk about how people make decisions and people are cognitive misers and they don't like to have too much information. So that's a good case for A. In B, the case would be, we talk about customer relationship management and about how it's a two-way street, and the customer these days likes to be engaged also, customer engagement, and have control. So if you said, B because the customer has more control, or A because it's simpler and people don't like to think too much, and supported your argument with information from the course material, then I would say, great, that's wonderful. And I would be inclined to give full points for either one. It turns out in this case it was B, and we know that companies need to keep testing their own context and environment. So that's how we would do an application-based assessment based on that application-based course objective. And the final one I wanted to talk about would be for search engine results. So the idea is to be able to evaluate a company's presence and apply the course material. And so in this case, we are in Austin, Texas, and we love tacos in Texas and in Austin in particular. And there's a company called Torchy's Tacos. So that is very popular. But I searched for best tacos in Austin, and then Torchy's didn't come up when I was looking. So I asked, if you saw this and you were working for Torchy's Tacos, what would you do? Now, Torchy's has a tagline of best damn tacos. They're kind of playing off of the Torchy is flames, like playing a play on words on being in hell. And so it's the best damn tacos. And so everybody loves Torchy's. Thank you, Marilyn. So how could Torchy's improve? How could they be ranked higher and organic? What would their ad look like? And then how would they then redo their ads and their web page to be ranked more highly and organic, and then have their ads searched? The queso is the best, yes. So my suggestion would be, based on this, that they don't really have best tacos anywhere in their ads or anywhere in their website. They have damn tacos, and people aren't searching for damn tacos. They're searching maybe for the best taco. So that would be one way to look at it, and there are other ways to apply the course material. MBA teams wrote a plan for Torchy's to add vegan options. Vegan, oh yeah, they have a vegetarian, but I think everything's pretty much cheese oriented in the taco world. So that's interesting. Thank you, Alan. And then to assess this assessment exam, I have a rubric, and we use that. So if you're really examining how the company creates value, or you're taking and really applying that information from the class and making great recommendations, then you're going to get full points and then lesser points down the line. So the result is I did actually do this. I was using this as our assessment for the marketing program, because one of our goals was that they have digital marketing competency. And I did see an increase in test scores over time as we actually implemented more digital marketing in our classes, and also as I improved my ability to coach them on applications. I think there were two things going on. So what I started doing after I saw my students comment was making sure that they were coming in prepared for having taken the quizzes, but making sure that I spent time in class doing these kinds of assignments and in-class exercises to demonstrate application. And the students needed to adjust a little bit too. They were really kind of used to just regurgitating things back, and they needed to kind of develop those critical thinking skills. Because what I find is that the employers always say they want critical thinking, and what they really want is kind of problem solving, which is what I was trying to do in the exam. But back to our general orientation, which is that we need to move them toward application, but I believe there's no substitute for experience. A year later, in 2018, the same student who's having trouble applying the course concepts wrote back and said she was started as an intern, and now she's a product marketing manager at that company. And they've had a good period of growth. And now she wanted to hire somebody else from our program to be an intern. So again, we can help them along the way, help them apply, but I do firmly believe, just like a driver's license is only a license to get out there and try, that there's no substitute for experience. I think what we're doing in digital marketing programs by getting them certified, giving them these experiences, is helping them get that foot in the door. So I'm just going to do a brief summary, and I hope I did leave a little time for Q&A here. I believe that, I would like you just to think about beginning your course design with application-based course objectives. You can create projects that don't need to be with the client, like our blogging assignment. And you can teach application throughout the course so that students are indeed ready for that, not only that examination, but for life. And because I think that's why you're all here. As I said before, you're teaching digital marketing because you believe that that's where most marketing jobs are, and you really want to help your students. And I really respect you and commend you for that. So I have some contact information here. This is a link to the slide. Thank you, Scott, for suggesting we put them up on SlideShare. I hadn't been doing that for a while since LinkedIn took it over, but I managed to figure out how to get back in there and uploaded that. There's a bit.ly here. This is my contact information. This is that how to teaching digital marketing blog. And I'm open for Q&A and discussion.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Debra. Okay, so what we're going to do for the Q&A is if you guys just want to start chatting in those questions, we will have Debra give you guys an answer to those.
Is everybody exhausted here?
Debra, there is also a 5-second delay, so it might take them a few seconds to chat.
I forgot. Thank you.
You're okay.
You're all making me want to go to Torchy's Tacos. Got it.
We were just on the website over here, Debra. We're like, oh man, they look so good.
Were you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Austin's opening up for restaurants, so I'm sure they at least have takeout. I may have to go.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Should we just go there? After this is all over, we can travel again. Should we just go to Torchy's? Okay.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm seeing a couple of questions now. So what kind of client projects do you look for? I've seen people, I forget the name of what was it? Karen Freeberg was talking about working with very large companies in her talk. We typically, I think that's very commendable. We typically don't do that. In our social media class, they work for a not-for-profit because, again, we have this mission of social justice. So it's usually a small not-for-profit. If we're doing a client project where they're doing a Google Ads project, it's typically, because of the short time frame, 7 or 8 weeks in the semester, it's going to typically be a smaller company. And Austin is a very big startup entrepreneurship community, so we don't have a lot of problem finding companies to sponsor these Google Ads projects. One thing I would suggest, remember the old Google Ads online marketing challenge where they had gave you $250 credit? What we do is we get the client to buy a $250 Visa card, and the students load that in. And then it's capped, and that's all the money that they can spend. Typically they find something, they often find their own, within their own families or themselves, that they have their own business, and they end up doing the project for that. Mimic Pro and Google certifications in the same course. Well, Kristen, I don't know what your situation is. I know some people only have that one course. We broke it up. So we have them get Google certified and they take that class I've just been talking about, the survey class in digital marketing and analytics. And then in advanced marketing management, they do first half of class, they do the simulation, second half of class, they do the client project. So it's kind of like a hierarchy. Now, when I only had one class to work with, I did both. I did it. It's very challenging because you're trying to teach them the basic material and apply it at the same time. So what I went to was that using that blogging project in that introductory class, because you don't have to worry about all the additional client dynamics. You know, I'm sure you've done client projects. So there's just a whole bunch of things that happen. Yeah, more evidence that you need 2 courses. Yeah. Yeah, and you said you have no trouble working with not-for-profits. And not-for-profits are usually pretty easy. We actually have we had a student who went, several students, because we're very big on social justice. A lot of the students want to go into not-for-profit and give back. And we have a student who graduated, went to work for a not-for-profit. She did that project in that advanced marketing management, and then she also came back and gave us several projects for our marketing research course. So that was a really good experience for all the students who came after her. And I'm not, okay. Sharman, you're just always debating alternative options to client projects and applications. You know, so am I. In that master's program, there's 7-week classes, and it's nearly impossible to work with a real life client. So we had, you know, sometimes you can coming up with something where, like the blogging project, where they're working on their own project or they're evaluating a company, or the simulations. To me, that's when you use simulations, when you don't think you have enough time to work with a client. Oh, that's a really good question. Roxanne, if you want to email me, I can send you our agreement. Here's my email, putting it in chat. About the agreement, we have a scope of work arrangement, which I really like. And it says that you have to have an agreement as to what's going to happen and when. So there's a time frame. There has to be a major contact in the student group, and also a major contact at the client. And the client has to sign this and agree to communicate with the student group, because they can't just drop out, you know, because we're in the middle of the semester and we need them. So, so that I can send you that scope of work if you like. Kathy. Oh, okay. So you do 8 rounds of Mimic in the digital marketing course, and then in the analytics class you do the Google Analytics certification. Yeah, we have that in the Google Analytics certification, the digital marketing analytics course. We get them ad certified in the digital marketing class. And you do projects. Excellent. You know, I think it just depends on your teaching style and the mission of your university and what you think you can cover in a semester. You know, these are all great ideas. I think we've got 2 minutes if anybody else has another comment. Thank you very much, Krista. I appreciate it. Charmin and Roxanne, thank you. It's been a wonderful opportunity to present, and I really do appreciate your questions and your input as well. Do you have a digital marketing concentration, Charmin, and 2 digital courses? Much better. Yeah, it's really how people should go, but it's sometimes it's hard to get universities to make that commitment. We infuse digital marketing in all of our undergrad classes, but we also have a digital marketing minor. And so that is available to anyone throughout the university. And we're seeing a lot of increased enrollment in the marketing classes. And I was a little surprised at that until I realized that a lot of them were coming from the minor. So we actually have more people in advanced marketing management, which is the capstone class where they do the client project, than we have majors, because they're coming from the minor. So I really appreciate your listening to me. This is what I do. I teach digital marketing and I talk about it and I research about it. And this is me. So I'm like one note Nora. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'd be happy to provide any insider coaching or just listen to you if needed.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Debra. Okay, we do want to announce our chat winner. That will be Kathy Fredrickson. So thank you so much for being so active in our chat today. We'll be sending you your $5 gift card. The next speaker is going to be a keynote speaker. So just jump on over to that next event and you guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Bailey. Thanks for all the help getting started here and completing the talk.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm going to stop this.